This episode of Top 5 Beatdown is sponsored by Skillshare. Hi, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Shane.
And welcome to Top 5 Beatdown, a show where we compare top 5s for topics that seem completely asinine, yet somehow garner strong opinions. And to add some credibility to the mix, we compare our top 5s to that of an expert in the field. Today's topic is dogs, and today's expert is a world-accredited dog judge, including judging at the world-renowned Westminster Dog Show. Please welcome to the void, Judge Bill Shelton.
Good afternoon.
Now we're going to add in more claps here. Thank you for coming on to the show, Bill. You honor us with your presence here.
It's my pleasure. I'm looking forward to sharing with all of you.
Should I refer to you as Judge Bill throughout the entire?
No, you
or
can
is
just
Bill just fine?
Bill is fine.
Okay, great. I judged all of these dogs. I created my top 5 based on which ones I thought were the cutest. I also owned 2 dogs myself, or my family does rather.
I never had dogs growing up. I always wanted one. My criteria is less about cuteness and more about how I feel about them. For a long time, I used to be very scared of them because I had a lot of dreams growing up about dogs biting my face.
Jesus Christ, man.
I've warmed up to cats because I got one.
I feel the same way about cats as you do about dogs. I've always had some of those visions myself.
Now, Bill, I'm sure you're going to have a lot to say here, and I love to hear it. So could you please explain to us your background in dogs?
Well, I'm obviously, as you mentioned, a dog judge, a World Dog Show, and of course, our biggest show here, which is Westminster. I also train dogs. I've been involved with Bill Keeler, who trained all the early Walt Disney dogs.
Wow.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
I'd like to say we've had a lot of experts on this show, but never has the gulf between levels of expertise felt so wide.
By the way, for those of you at home who are keeping track of how many times Shane mentions cats in this episode, I think the over-under is set at 25. That's already 3 times.
We love what we love.
All right, let's just get into this.
Let's
List.
That's amazing. That's the best thing on earth.
All right, well, my number 5 is the Bull Mastiff.
Amazing choice. This narrowly missed my top 5, so I'm pleased to see it.
It's an incredible breed, and of course, coming from the working group, they're basically, you would say, a protection type dog, but in many cases, nothing could be further from the truth when they live with their family. They're loving, sweet individuals, but they are guardians. And originally, they were bred in Europe to protect the villages. And what they started with is they had the Mastiff, and the Mastiff was a guard dog in the village, and they would go out and take down the poachers, to be honest with you. But then they took the 2 breeds, the Mastiff and the Bull Mastiff, and they crossbred them.
I realized a lot of this episode is going to be me looking up what these dogs are because I don't know anything about them, but this is a beautiful looking dog.
It's a muscular fella. I do appreciate the bulk. These dogs, they look like Bane. Let's move to Shane for his number 5.
I don't know anything about dogs. My number 5 is the Dalmatian.
The Dalmatian?
That's right.
But all I've heard from you is the anecdotes about the rotten Dalmatian that's near your house that barks at you.
There is a rotten Dalmatian near my house that barks at me, but I don't run by that house anymore. I've heard that in general, they're quite rude. Is that true?
I have also heard they're aggressive.
I mean,
May I just say that any breed that you pursue to live with your family and be a family member, you need to do your research and you need to acquire a dog from someone who's done it for some time. Dalmatians can be the most biddable, trainable, happy-go-lucky dogs in the world.
But I love the Disney motion picture, 101 Dalmatians.
You put this on your list just because of that, right? Is that what you're getting to here?
I really like that movie. I think it's, but I also, here's the thing. I don't necessarily want one as a pet, but when I see them out in public and they're not, jumping up a fence, causing me to scream or cuss in the middle of my run, I'm always happy to see them. They're almost like a cartoon dog. They've got those funny little spots. They're friends with horses.
They're friends with horses?
Yeah, they used to use them. Right, Bill, can you talk?
Right. So their purpose was they, again, were rather a kind of protection dog in the sense that they traveled with the coach. And so they had to be respectful of horses, of course.
Wow. My list may end up just being a series of dogs that I want to know more about.
My number 5 is, this is a very classic basic pick, the Golden Retriever. Now, I will say that this to me is kind of like, they're like the Lay's potato chip of dogs. Like everyone thinks of them when you think of like a breed when you're considering bringing a dog in your home. Golden Retriever is in the conversation. I used to have a neighbor who had a Golden Retriever, and I loved that dog. It shed a lot, that I will say that it did shed a lot, but the dog was super friendly, super nice. They trained it very well, but more than anything, it just was very friendly and happy. This may or may not also have some reference being drawn from the film Up, in which Doug, I believe, is a golden retriever, and he did hide under that man's porch because he loved him.
Absolutely.
I love the way they look. I love their big tennis ball noses that they have. They're just a friendly looking dog. I don't know, they make me happy when I look at them.
They're in the top 10 most popular breeds in America.
Makes sense.
The reason you just described is why. Ability to connect with humans, and they always look you right in the eye. They have like a natural compassion for humans. They just connect.
That makes sense what you're saying, because it did always look me in the eye. I was somewhat of an energetic, misunderstood kid, so that dog was always there to lend me a paw and an ear.
Right.
I never was able to bounce my crazy energy off of anybody but that dog.
We have something in common.
So that dog really did get me.
They and like Labradors are two of the breeds that are very popular because of their intellect.
It's interesting to talk about how they make eye contact with you, because that is something I want to get a dog eventually. Cats very much seem like they're living in their own plane of reality. Every now and then they kind of intersect with you, but for the most part, if you look at a cat and you're like, hey, come on up at the couch, it'll just stare at you.
Right.
I think that's it for me then. Let's move on to your number 4, Bill.
My number 4 is the Giant Schnauzer.
Giant Schnauzer.
I'm not familiar with the Giant Schnauzer. I'm gonna have to look up. I'm gonna look up a picture of the Giant Schnauzer.
All right,
see this.
So, there's 3 sizes of the Giant Schnauzer. The prototype is the standard Schnauzer. There's a miniature Schnauzer, and then there's the Giant Schnauzer. It is actually a popular breed here in the States. And many other parts of Europe, it was always considered a very tenacious guard dog. In Bavaria, when they were originally developed, they were developed to have these harsh, wiry coats to repel the snow and to keep them warm. Interesting enough, they were bred to protect the beer kegs because beer was so valuable. I thought that was rather unique. Beautiful breed, a handsome breed. They do require some grooming. That's part of the beauty of them.
I love the idea that there are different sizes. It just makes me laugh that there's a Giant Schnauzer that could walk up to a miniature Schnauzer in the street and just be like, hey, you kind of look like me.
Yeah, I'd like to say this about the Schnauzer. Beautiful silhouette.
Thank you. You're so right. It is just such a beautiful outline. Yeah.
Shane, do Madejs come in different sizes, or are they all giant?
We're all pretty big.
All giant for the Madejs?
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, Bill, but he's a giant. Anyways, let's move to number 4.
My number 4 is the Borzoi. Now, Borzois, arguably, if my girlfriend could pick one dog to get, it would probably be a Borzoi. I've always found them, I don't want to say ghastly, but they're very unique looking.
They are unique. And isn't it interesting, in the 40s and 50s, when everything was avant-garde, they picked a lot of Borzois to be in the photography of fashion.
Yeah, right? They're tied to like Art Nouveau almost.
There you go.
They look like a dog of nightmares to me.
It looks like someone took a bunch of bones and stitched them together with taffy and then rolled it through the hair of a ghost.
It's kind of accurate.
And shaped them uniquely.
If I saw one of these in the woods, I'm running.
I think it's fabulous, the uniqueness of all breeds and their ability to hunt wolves. You'd never know it.
Jesus, wolves is crazy. Hunting wolves is insane.
In those times, the Tsar owned the Borzoi, and the only people who could own a Borzoi was the Tsar. And if you were caught with one, you were killed.
Jesus Christ.
Well, because you'd have the property of the Tsar.
That makes sense. Number 4 for me is a boxer. I've only encountered one out in the wild. A coworker of mine at BuzzFeed had a boxer named Carter. I love the way boxers look. They kind of look like bull mastiffs, except sleeker.
They look like they have a 5 o'clock shadow almost.
It's almost to me like someone took a pug and stretched it out and then kept the face somewhat similar, because they have those funny little bulgy pug eyes, which I really enjoy. And as far as I know, very playful. That dog was very, very friendly to everybody in the office and well-mannered enough to bring to an office. That's the extent of my boxer knowledge. Just love to look at this dog. I'd like to have one. What could I say?
Again, a working breed, a guardian breed, and there's a great deal of structure that goes into their head that's desirable. And you mentioned the 5 o'clock shadow. I thought that was kind of cool, because they do have those pendulous kind of padded muzzle, and they're supposed to. Now, the interesting thing I think about a boxer is they use their front legs for everything. When they visit you, they wrap themselves around you. They kind of hit you with their front legs.
Oh, I love it.
It's really a sweet breed and love their people. And they vibrate. Have you ever been, I mean, you said you knew one.
They vibrate?
When you're around them, they're just so happy. Yeah. My number 3 choice is the Pekingese.
Oh,
They're hilarious looking.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
These are dogs who came from Chinese royalty. As the legend goes, from Buddha himself. They're the lion dog. There was some kind of a story about a lion and a marmoset creating the Pekingese. Interesting, huh?
That's interesting seeing that lions are so large and these are so small, though.
Right, it's not a fact.
Oh, okay.
They were discovered and they became very, very expensive. In the 30s and 40s, people were paying outrageous prices here in America because they were so unique. You know, they used to have all these heroin wars in China, and someone was able to make off with one of them. They're a big dog in a little package, and they live forever.
How long is their lifespan?
Anywhere from 15 to 18 years easily.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I've definitely seen these around. Some of these have sort of hairstyles where they're quite horizontal looking. They look like a little cloud.
They look like almost like a Star Wars creature.
They do.
Almost to the point
they?
where if I saw them, like I wouldn't be 100% confident that's a dog.
It's like you expect it to look at you and go like, Wabatuda! Or something, you know?
There you go. Exactly.
My number 3 is, and this is a little broad, the poodle. I know there's like specific kinds of poodles. Now, let me tell you why my aunt and uncle growing up had 2 poodles named Coco and Tucci. Tucci was a real sweet dog. Coco was very, very old and he didn't like Tucci. I think he might have pulled some of his teeth out at some point. They fought a lot, but individually, very sweet dogs. I love how sort of regal and tall they can be. And I don't know how kosher this is, but it seems like a lot of people breed poodles with other dogs. You know, you got your schnoodles, your labradoodles. People love all the oodles.
Fun fact about labradoodles, I read a quote from the guy who created labradoodles.
He said he regrets it, right?
Yeah, he said that he unleashed Frankenstein's monster on the world and it's his life's biggest regret.
I thought people really liked labradoodles though.
They love them. The popularity made them grow so vastly, so quickly they got into the hands of people who were more about profit than they were about quality.
Okay,
That's not great.
And the poodle is, once again, and you talked about golden retrievers, those breeds are all very popular because of their intellect, and they're great house pets, and they're great for families. It's America's darling.
Let's move on to my number 3 here. My number 3 is the Basset Hound. Now, I know these dogs were originally, I think they were hunting dogs.
Yes, they were.
I have no interest in taking a dog hunting. I'm not much of a hunter unless you count looking for tacos in LA as hunting.
Ryan, come on.
And they will do that.
Yeah, right? Give him the scent.
Once again, I had a neighbor who had a Basset Hound, and that thing was hilarious. Its face made me laugh every single time I looked at it. In a good way, I wasn't laughing at it.
You were laughing with it, yeah.
One of the things I remember the most, other than the fact that it was very, very affable and friendly, was the that it loved napkins.
Well,
they like the smell of the napkin more than anything.
They like the smell of the napkins. And I remember from that moment, I was like, I want that napkin eating dog. They got big floppy ears, which I really enjoy. And they're low and kind of chubby, which I find very cute. They're kind of like a hound dog shrunk down.
When they would go fox hunting, and they had different sizes. They had the foxhound, they had the beagle, et cetera, et cetera. Well, because women would go side saddle originally hunting, they bred a lower-legged dog, which was the Basset Hound, so it would stay with the women. And the reason for the big ears and the floppy flews, the long ears actually envelop their nose to the ground.
I love that all of those have a very functional purpose, and yet I just think it's a very funny look.
It's a great look. All right, my number 2 pick is the Whippet.
Whoa!
They're a coursing hound, they're a sight hound, although they're very different. They look a bit like a greyhound, a smaller coursing hound. They're really beautiful in shape. They're built for speed.
Now, why are they gaining popularity?
They're clean dogs. They're short-haired dogs. They're not noisy. They don't bark a lot. They roll up on your couch and lay next to you. You hardly even know they're there.
Oh.
And as I said, you know, being a coursing for smaller game, they love to run, and they can run like no one's business.
The puppies are so cute.
Very popular in the dog show arena right now, and have been.
Like I said, I always wanted a dog, and my mom was, you know, a wonderful mother, but she was really the one who always said, you know, we can't be getting a dog. And my dad would always say to me, you know, it would be great. We could get some whippets. He always wanted to get us whippets.
Mark Madej had all the good intel.
Mark Madej was good cop when it came to the dog conversation. Yeah.
I see. Let's move on to your number 2 then, Shane.
My number 2 is whatever kind of collie my grandparents had. They had what I'm pretty sure, I think they were collies, but they were sort of shorter than most collies, but still pretty big.
Were they Shelties, Shetland sheepdogs?
Let me look that up.
I love for your number 2, you're basically treating Bill like a crime scene sketch artist where you're trying to recreate a memory.
You know what, Bill? I think they might have been these Shetland sheepdogs.
Yes, this is a smaller version, basically. A herding breed.
They were basically like walking Ottomans. Their names were Ricky and Lucy. And Ryan, I know you had a Ricky and Lucy of your own.
My parents had 2 Ricky and Lucy's, yeah.
They were incredibly kind to me as a young boy. You know, they didn't like jump all over you when you came over to visit, but they just sort of like nudge up against you and lean against you, and I always admired them. Yeah, they kicked ass. So that's about as nuanced as my take on them gets. Shetland sheepdogs, apparently, is my number 2.
Shane, you really key into America's most popular breeds.
Are they very popular?
Very popular,
interesting.
Yeah. It sheds a bit.
I was gonna say they were very hairy and very sheddy, but they were just, their temperament was so mild, and I don't know if that's just sort of their deal, but they were incredibly chill dogs.
Let's move on to my number 2 here. My number 2 is the Pembroke Welsh Corgi. And I like these better than the cardigan corgis. I believe that's the other form of corgi. I just think they're fluffier. I gotta say, they might have the most adorable little butts.
That's what everyone says.
And you know, they're low riders. They ride low to the ground, and they're so fluffy and unbearably cute that I could almost not handle it. But I see them all the time walking around Los Angeles, and I always think to myself, I might have to get me a corgi one day, because that is the cutest thing I have ever seen in my entire life. I follow several corgis on Instagram, both famous ones, but I also follow an account that's Corgis of Instagram, which aggregates all of the corgis of Instagram and just makes it a feed that I just inject straight into my veins. The ones I have interacted with are super friendly, super nice. I've heard that they're kind of brats, but I kind of dig that. I don't know if that's actually true. They're just beautiful, and they make me giggle and so happy when I look at them.
The Pembroke Welsh Corgi is my breed.
Oh, that's amazing.
We've bred some of the top winners ever in this country, and everything you mentioned about Instagram, they have been for the last couple of years. Social media's darling, but they just moved into the top 10 most popular breeds in America.
Wow.
I did not pick the Pembroke Corgi to suck up to Bill. I did not know.
All right, come on.
I could tell by the way you spoke that you didn't have a clue, yeah.
Let's move on to number 1s here.
Wow.
But before we do that, let's have a word from our sponsor. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people. You can take a class on video editing or photography, or in my case, animating with ease in After Effects with instructor Jake Bartlett. Jake was really helpful about establishing the basics of animation, such as graph tools. There are no ads, and they're always launching new premium classes. And it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. And the first 1,000 people to use the link in my description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. And now, back to Top 5 Beatdown and our number 1s.
No surprise, and to make the program go quicker, it's the Pembroke Welsh Corgi.
Wow!
There it is, baby. Yes. I love to see it. I love to see it.
I adore them, and their development, of course, was primarily in the UK. The Queen has had them. She no longer breeds them. She quit just a couple of years ago.
Oh, sure, sure.
And they're popular around the world, an amazingly popular breed. The secret's out. Like you said, you see them all over LA now.
Yeah.
And you hardly used to even see them walking on the street. They are a big dog in a little package, and that's what everyone will tell you.
That's what they say about Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
Man, fuck you. Let's move to Shane's number 1 then. I'm curious what Shane's got.
My number 1 is gonna, look.
Spit it out.
It's a good number 1. Sort of the scrappy old mutt that you'd see jumping off a train. I like when you see a dog and you're like, I don't know what kind of dog that is. It looks like it's just, you don't quite know. It's just this dog who came from somewhere, and it looks almost like Tramp from Lady and the Tramp, or anything else, and you just can't quite place it. I love a mutt.
I think that's perfect. I think that's wonderful. And as we were just pointing out, about 95% of dogs in shelters are randomly bred, and they are that dog. And a lot of times we had no idea who and what breed they were. It didn't really matter because when we were young growing up with them, they were our best buddies.
You know, there's a lot of beautiful breeds that we've been celebrating here today, but you know,
I agree.
We can't all fall into one category.
You would think that you would talk about one of the, I don't know, over 200 breeds, but I'm really happy that your number one is the, you know what I'm talking about.
But I'm willing to bet everyone in their life has come across a dog where their owners are like, yeah, we don't quite know what this one is.
So Shane,
yeah, you're right. You know, your pick isn't something you would type into Google.
Sorry, Ryan, go ahead. I'm muting you. Bill was saying something.
No, I was just going to say, you know what, Shane, you're not unlike a lot of America. Again, probably the most popular dog in America is that dog you're referring to. Not all purebred dogs are healthy, don't get me wrong, because not everyone breeds them for generations for health, but on a whole, they're more predictable in their behavior, their outcome, their coat. But those randomly bred dogs, they have such a special place in all of our memories in our homes. So I think it's a great choice.
Thank you, Bill. Ryan, I'll unmute you and you can take it away with your number one now.
Bill, you're a very nice man, as evidenced by your response to what Shane listed here. I think you're a very diplomatic, nice man.
Good choice.
That's all I'm going to say. Let's move to my number one here. It's a homer pick. What am I going to say? My number one is dachshunds. Wiener dogs, little weenies, little sausages. I love them so much. I've had dachshunds my entire life, or at least my mom has. I grew up with originally a dachshund named Hannah, who was an amazing dog. Loved that dog. My mom had two dogs after that named Ricky and Lucy, and those dogs lived to 20 and 19 years old.
They live a long time.
Which was crazy, and it was devastating when I lost those two dogs.
Oh, I bet.
And now my mom has two more wiener dogs, Dory and Mickey, who actually have their own Instagram account. My mom made them an Instagram account at Mickey Dory Doxies. I'm gonna plug that right now.
She does really good work on the captions.
I just love these dogs. They're super playful. They're very tiny. I think they're the cutest dog optically that I've seen. Corgis are a really close second. It's like neck and neck. I told my mom that I might buy a Corgi instead of a wiener dog, and she was very disappointed. But so, you know, those two could flip. It could be 1A, 1B, but I feel like to be loyal to the dachshund breed, I have to put them at number one. I just love these dogs so much. And every time I see one on the street, I squeak.
Oh, I love them. I love them too. They were originally bred to go to ground in the badger hole and drag the badger out. Can you imagine the tenacity that they had to have to be able to do that? So that's why when you look at their little mouths, they have huge, big teeth. And that's why they're constructed in the front the way they are, where their legs set underneath them and they have little short legs and they're kind of bent. So they can push the dirt past their rib cage and throw it out and get further in the hole after the badger.
That's so
crazy.
Cool.
That's why they have really strong tails and big bases to their tails, because they would grab them by the tail if they thought they, had the badger, and they would pull them and the badger out so they could dispatch the badger.
I love them. They're my childhood dog, and for that, they will always hold a special place in my heart. And they're a great dog. What's going on back there? That does it here. Any last words we all want to say here? Let's go around the table.
All I can really say is that we were talking about purebred dogs and about the preservation of them purposefully and with intent to create healthier, happier families of dogs preserved in their original state, just like your dachshund. If anybody wants a purebred dog, that they do their research. And the most likely thing to do is to start with, say, a dachshund, is to go to the Dachshund Club of America.
I think that sounds like great advice.
I've had a blast today. I learned a lot about dogs. I walked in here not knowing too much. I've seen a lot of movies. I was a big, who almost made my list? The old St. Bernard, because I love Beethoven that much. Yeah. Definitely, I'm more informed now, and if I get a dog someday, well, now I've got some really tasty options. Bill, I can't thank you enough for lending us your vast expertise.
And that's my last word, too. Just a huge thank you, Bill, for coming on the show and adding some actual credibility.
Now we've got some hot tips for all the black market betting we're going to be doing on the Westminster Westminster Dog Show.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to plug?
My breeding program's Coventry, Pembroke, Welsh Corgis, and if you Google it, you'll find us, and research before you buy one.
That does it for this episode. If you guys liked our list, let us know in the comments. If you didn't like our list, let us know in the comments. I guess we'll see you next time, and
That's the list.
list.